Andrew Huberman.
Andrew Huberman.
Dr. Andrew D. Huberman.
On March 25th of this year, Kerry Howley for the New York Magazine wrote a viral article, seen more than 10 million times on X, that was a damning deep dive of Andrew Huberman. The article presented a never-before-seen side of Huberman's personal life, where his public image was vastly at odds with his private life. In his public persona, Dr. Huberman presents himself as a paragon of self-discipline, a figure meticulously managing every facet of his existence. You may have heard of protocols popularized by him, timing coffee intake, viewing sunlight after waking up, and taking ice baths, which incidentally launched an entire industry around selling said ice baths. New York Magazine paints a contrasting picture, depicting him as oscillating between chaotic behavior and manipulative narcissism at various points. A focal figure of the story is a woman going by the pseudonym of Sarah, with whom Huberman was in a relationship. Unfortunately for Sarah, during this period, it is revealed that Huberman maintained concurrent relationships with 5 other women. These relationships, some extending over several years, were kept in the shadows, with the involved parties largely unaware of each other's existence. Of course, eventually, these women figured it out. They ended up creating a group chat, sharing their experiences of dating Andrew Huberman, and eventually even put together a timeline that gave better context for his extracurricular activities. In fact, the article states that many women have said that he was a type who wanted the women to be monogamous and exclusive to him, while he was free to date. Dr. Huberman was single, and Sarah was in a relationship.
Sensational.
The women compared very intricate details of their relationship, even going as far as sharing how Huberman responded to intimate photos.
So good and tasty?
I'll be very honest with you, dear viewers. The facts about Andrew Huberman and how he interacts with the women revealed in this group chat were pretty fucking funny. Apart from this, the article does also generally dive into how Huberman is a flaky person and calls into question some of his credentials. That generally was it, really. A very long article, but not much damning information apart from the intricacies of a celebrity's dating life. But look, this isn't even the first time Andrew Huberman's been in the crosshairs for what could be considered a smear campaign. Wikipedia, a rather politically motivated platform these days, had ideologically charged editors trying to paint Huberman as spreading health misinformation by virtue of appearing as a guest on the world's biggest podcast with Joe Rogan. Regardless of how he is as a person, the positive impact of Dr. Andrew Huberman's work is pretty undeniable. His podcast genuinely helps everyday listeners to navigate the realms of health science over what is a few hours in a relatively easy to understand way. And coming from someone his caliber for free, that's a lot of value right there. Take, for example, his episode on alcohol. It's got a comprehensive breakdown on the effects of alcohol on the brain and unpacks how even moderate drinking can alter brain function far more than most would expect. The response? A wave of listeners inspired to reevaluate their drinking habits, armed with science-backed insights that challenge the social norm of alcohol consumption. Another example that personally helped me a lot was his episode with Dr. Sean Mackey on tools to reduce and manage pain. As someone with major herniated discs from the gym with chronic pain, it was extremely relevant and added to the arsenal of information that had a genuine, real-world impact for me. His unique blend of academic rigor and accessible delivery has carved out a niche that's rare in the health and wellness podcasting space. While many charlatans peddle pseudoscience for profit, Andrew Huberman does stand apart. A tenured professor at Stanford, his credentials are impeccable, and once again, his viewers get easy and free access to great information. Having said that, I do think this is also exactly why it is important for fans and listeners to realize that despite credentials and fame, no personality is devoid of flaws. History is often littered with famous and revered people whose personal lives were questionable. Look at Muhammad Ali, or Gandhi, or John F. Kennedy, or even Mother Teresa. I think it's simply unrealistic to expect somebody who's famous, wealthy, and with a large following to be a pariah amongst the established playboy-like lifestyles a large number of these men do lead. A lot of people form a weird relationship with celebrities on screen, and there's a moral expectation that forms, where somebody like Andrew Huberman is expected to be perfect when it comes to all areas of their lives. Simply because in his case, he preaches a very stringent, meticulous, health-focused lifestyle. This phenomenon isn't confined to Huberman alone. It's a broader social issue, magnified by the glare of the spotlight that follows public figures everywhere. Whether it's the allure of Hollywood, the corridors of power in Washington, or the academic prestige of institutions like Stanford, the dynamics of relationships and personal conduct in these high-profile spheres can often be at odds with what is widely accepted or expected by the public. However, I also do think Andrew Huberman faces a different challenge due to this article. If he can lie to multiple women in his personal life, and people around him describe him as flaky and a bit of a narcissist, shouldn't we as listeners also question whether he lies to strangers that are his audience? Let's consider this through the lens of a Bayesian inference, a statistical method that allows us to update our probability estimates as new evidence comes in. Imagine you initially have a belief about Huberman's trustworthiness. This belief is more than likely based on his professional achievements and public persona. Now, with the New York Magazine article serving as new evidence, we're prompted to update this belief. In Bayesian terms, we start with a prior probability that Huberman is trustworthy. Then, we incorporate the likelihood of observing the reported deceptive behaviors in his personal life if he were indeed less trustworthy than assumed. How does this new evidence shift our beliefs? If we considered him highly trustworthy initially, the revelations about his personal conduct should ideally reduce our trust. However, if our initial trust was not strong, this new evidence could significantly sway our opinion, leading us to reevaluate the credibility of the information he presents in his professional capacity. Andrew Huberman's other challenge likely is ironically the fact that he is highly credentialed, and where he does not have a guest and is giving protocol advice, this may not necessarily be his domain of expertise. However, viewers may use the same credentials to trust the advice when, in fact, it might not entirely be accurate. That's because regardless of how smart he may be, it's impossible to be perfectly knowledgeable in all areas of science and medicine. There's plenty of videos and podcasts that refute Andrew Huberman that proves exactly this. Which is certainly why, once again, it is important to remain informed, critically evaluate new information, and adjust our trust accordingly, while not jumping to conclusions, but maintaining a healthy skepticism, especially when you consider this within the context of intimate details about Andrew Huberman that reveals that he, just like many others before him, have faults of their own and should not be idolized. Everybody has faults, and Andrew Huberman is simply one of them. Did the New York Magazine's article change your view on him? Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. And as always, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. I'll see you in the next one.